Well, sometimes you're stranded, you know? If it's on a good day, you don't work that day. Most of the time it's when you're late for work. But fortunately, mine wasn't. So this is Felix with Salvage Title Approaches, and I have a dead battery in my Mazda 3. If you don't know what a dead battery starts like, normally on a manual transmission, you can push it, but I'm sitting uphill or downhill. So pushing it uphill is not an option. Maybe if I went to the gym more, it would be an option. But instead, today, we're just going to change the battery. So getting started, taking off the battery, I have a 10 millimeter extension or a long socket with an extension and a ratchet to take off the 10 millimeter bolts holding the battery hold down and keeping the battery locked into place so it doesn't move around. So I've taken these two bolts off. I removed the hold down. Remember the orientation it came out of. That way you can put it back in nicely. First, you start off with the negative terminal when removing the battery. Once that's loose, just go ahead and pull it off. Inhale all the battery acid dust that it's there, and then make sure that cable doesn't touch any part of the metal of the car. And usually those are 10 millimeters as well. This one, however, my positive battery terminal was a 13, so fortunately I had the wrench for that one. But it is stuck, so I did pry it open with a little pick, and you could see all this kind of greasy, foamy looking stuff, and that's kind of a corrosion prevention thing. As you saw earlier, my battery hold down was eaten up, so my mechanic put some. It's also a good idea to remember the orientation of your battery in which it came out. This battery was from April 2020, which was when COVID was happening. So this battery is as old as COVID. It lasted a long time. As a new battery is an EverStart from Walmart. There's some of the specs. I got it in January 2026, and hopefully it lasts just as long. Remembering the orientation, the positive was to the front of the car, and the negative terminal was more to the back of the car. I guess they're both to the front, but you know what I'm saying. Starting off, we do it in reverse. So we attach the positive cable or terminal on. As I'm tightening mine, I can kind of see little metal shrapnel coming out. I've kind of maybe tightened it too hard, but it is just a bolt, and we can buy a new one later. I do put the negative back on, and you saw a little bit of smoke. That's just normal. It's just the battery completing its circuit now. And before I do tighten the negative terminal, I put my battery hold down on just to get everything locked into place. So I just kind of screw them in, not completely tight, but just so the bolts are there. And then I'm going to go back and attack the negative terminal, making sure that it's snug and tight. Alright, just give it a little yank, make sure they're in there. And to wrap up the job, now just make sure the battery stays in place by tightening the bolts on the hold down. As you can see, you can see in the back of the battery hold down where the corrosion really ate it up. But now we're almost wrapped up with this job. One thing that is unfortunate though is that the battery hold down does not do its job and does in fact not hold the battery. How unfortunate. Okay guys, moment of truth. Alright, fortunately just a bad battery this time. One thing I should say about this car is that there's a relearning procedure. So anytime you disconnect the battery or install a new battery, you have to let it sit for about like 10-15 minutes or so it like relearns itself, get it all learned up and everything. Trust the process. Trust the process. I'm gonna give it some gas. That way I learned some things. Obviously I'm not going anywhere, the hood's up, I'm stationary. And I'm gonna let go of the pedal slowly. See, I don't know if you can hear it. It almost sounds like it wants to die. Look how low the RPMs are. You gotta just wait, or else when you're driving, you'll stall and your car will turn off. You just gotta let it sit and make all of its noises and just let it do its thing. And yep, you should be good. Well, after driving about 8 miles, I'm on the freeway and so I'm just driving around. My car stalled like at every stoplight it could get to. Now the idles are a little bit higher, but almost it's now been like an hour kind of just messing with the car, you know. Yeah, it's been an hour and I made it home. I'm home where I'm at. Everything was good. It would start right up as soon as it would die and idle, but that idling thing is a thing, so don't be afraid of it. And if you're stuck at a stoplight and you can feel it, just put your gas, just give it some revs, you know, and let it do its thing. It takes a while for it to calibrate all of its things. You know, I've disconnected the battery before, but I don't think it's been as bad as when you replace the battery completely, so just keep an eye out for that. But yeah, everything's good, hunky-dory so far. Like I said, fortunately I was lucky, just the battery. I will say, you know, I don't like how that battery doesn't fit very well in the post, and that kind of can move back and forward, but I'm assuming if it's just all the way back in the engine, it won't, unless I do heavy braking, it won't slide all the way forward. But yeah, I will say I do appreciate paying like 60-70 bucks less for the battery, but I don't like that my top little thing doesn't grip it nicely and it's not super duper secure. But I'll check in on it every once in a while and see if it works okay. Spoiler alert, later on that day I just got some slivers of wood to put in between the battery hold down and my battery, just until I can buy an actual battery hold down that fits. All right, have a good one, like and subscribe, and until the next one.